Tap centering allows us to bring a pot quickly to the middle of the wheel, ready to start turning. Turning involves removing unwanted clay to refine forms, add foot rings, and to thin walls. It's usually done when the clay is leather hard. By tapping the pot from a fixed point as it spins on the wheel, we can bring it onto centre. Using a reel of masking tape, we can practice the key techniques of tap centering without destroying a bunch of pots. Just as when learning to throw, reducing the number of variables is crucial to understanding what movements give you the desired results. As obvious as it sounds, make sure your wheel is spinning in the correct direction. That's anti-clockwise if you're right-handed. Fix your vision at 12 o'clock at the top of the wheel. Watching the top rim of the pot in your periphery, allow your focus to fall below the pot to somewhere in the wheel tray. This will stop your head from simply following the wobble. Every time you see the pot move away from the centre at 12, tap the pot immediately. The delay in your reaction means that by the time you see the wobble at 12, it has moved around to 4 before you tap it. Thus your movement brings the pot towards the centre. Wheel speed is another easy variable to fix. If it is constantly changing, as in this first clip, it will be very difficult to find the rhythm with our movements needed to bring the pot on centre. If the pot starts well off the centre, you may need to have a fixed lower speed to bring the pot closer in and to avoid it being thrown off the wheel before adjusting to a faster fixed speed to tune it into the centre. I keep my left hand, or my less dominant hand, in an L-shaped position gliding just above the wheel head. The L shape covers a large section of the wheel ready to catch if the pot starts to slide off. It also allows me to assess if I have the correct wheel speed set and brings my thumb to 6 o'clock on the pot where I can feel for any wobble. Some people will prefer solely feeling for the wobble like this rather than trying to look for it at 12. However, the principle is the same, as we tap as soon as we feel the wobble, and the delay in our reaction means that we move the pot towards the centre, assuming that we have the correct wheel speed set. How you tap and which part of your hand you use will very much depend on the object you're centering. However, the position we tap from should remain fixed, normally in the same position we throw from, somewhere between 3 and 5 o'clock for right-handers. You also should not work around or stroke the pot, as this increases the contact time and will pull the pot off centre. For small, light objects, often tapping with the end of the finger is best, as it's a small point of sensitive contact. However, for larger, heavier items or harder items like wooden throwing bats, using a knuckle or the side of an open palm can be more comfortable and brings sufficient force to get larger objects moving towards the centre. Generally, we try to get the pot on centre in just 3 taps for efficiency, but also to avoid damaging the pot. The first tap is the hardest, and we get progressively softer as we bring the pot towards the centre. When using the knuckle, I like to think of this as a similar motion to that of knocking on someone's door. To help get to grips with tap centering, we've come up with a few challenges to get you into the technique. First, master tap centering, knock the tape on and off by touch and by sight, and get to doing this reliably. Next, try to get your tap centering down to a 3-touch maximum. And finally, if you master 3 touches, try tap centering using a tool instead of your hand. This can be useful for very small or light objects like jar lids, which are often used to support and as templates when turning foot rings. If you want to practice tap centering but don't have a wheel, there's still things you can do to make sure you're a dab hand at the technique by the time you get back in the studio. The main problem to solve is no wheel. Have you got anything that spins? A wonky plate? A lazy Susan? An old bike wheel? Remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be round, and momentum is the most important factor. We've made a Pinterest board full of various types of manually operated potter's wheels to get you started with some ideas. We've been using a lazy Susan to practice all the techniques that we've covered in this video. Remember that makeshift wheels with less momentum will be harder to use, and so focus on centering light objects like paper cups or reels of tape. Chopsticks also make a nice replacement for turning tools if you want to challenge yourself to centering with a tool. If you've mastered all of the above and want to show off a bit, then we have one extra challenge for you. One of the key benefits of tap centering is it allows you to find an average center of an object that's not entirely even. Often I describe this like a 3D puzzle made up of lots of different ellipses on different planes. Therefore, the challenge is to stack as many objects as you can on the wheel, tap centering each as you go, to build your own entirely new form. Double points for anyone that manages to do this on a lazy Susan or a homemade wheel, as it's a lot harder than it looks. Share your successes and failures on Instagram under the hashtag #TapCenterChallenge, and we'll reshare the best ones on the Sunken Studio account. We'll also be posting more ideas for building your own makeshift wheels on social media and on our website over the coming weeks. Stay safe, stay snazzy, and stay at home.